Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am here with a second update for my Panda face palette. This is the first year ever on my channel that I'm panning a face palette, and I'm really enjoying it so far. I am excited to share with you the progress where I am today with this palette. I can definitely see a difference in person, and I hope you can pick it up on camera too. But I've been really loving using this palette overall, and it's been a fun addition to my everyday makeup routine. So before I jump into the progress and the before and afters, all of that good stuff, if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I would love to have you in the family. Let's jump into the video. So if you haven't seen my other installments in this series, the palette that I'm panning this year is my Hourglass Ambient Lightning Edit Ghost palette. It's very reflective, so I won't show you it too long because the palette itself, like the front of it, is basically mirrored. So yeah, it's very distracting to hold up. But instead of showing you the packaging, I'm going to go ahead and insert here what this palette looked like at the introduction as well as last month. So I will be having the footage rolling of this palette. So as you can see, this palette has 6 shades. It has 2 color powders, 1 highlight, a bronzer, and 2 blush shades. And yeah, hopefully you can see here what it was looking like at the different stages. So that is what my palette has been looking like, and this is where I am with this palette today. So yeah, hopefully you can see some differences. I can definitely see some myself, but I am excited to see what it looks like on camera. And of course, I will talk you through all of the usage as well and where I stand with this palette today. So as always, I will also have the comparison pictures up here so you can see the comparison just in photos. But yeah, this is what the palette looks like I said. And let me talk you through each shade in order. So first up, we have the 2 powders in the palette. The first one out of the 2 is the Dim Light, which is the deeper one. This one I can't really use as like a setting powder right now because it is a little bit too deep. But I use this one as like a buffer shade. But I'm kind of also saving this one to summer because I feel like in summer this is going to be a beautiful shade to like just brighten up my face. But I have used this one 11 times, so a little bit of use here and there, and I'm happy with that. It's definitely less than I did last month. Last month I used this one 20 times. So I've taken the progress down a little bit on this one, but I'm fine with that. Again, I know this shade is going to fit me perfectly in summer, so I don't mind holding off with this shade a little bit, and I'm just happy that I'm getting some use out of it overall. The second shade though is the one that I've been focusing on out of the 2 kind of perfecting powders, and this is the shade Diffuse Light. So this one I've used 18 times in the past month, and I'm hoping you can see, I don't know if you saw in the footage, but I hope you can see here how much it has flattened out. I really think you can maybe see it there compared to like the other powders, especially like Dim Light, which is a similar formula, but it has definitely flattened out a lot. This one I use as like kind of like a perfecting powder. So today I applied it like right in this area to blend my blush kind of shade into my T-zone. I didn't want my blush to go to like far in, so I kind of use that shade to blend that out. And another way that I'm really enjoying using this one is actually mixing it with this blush down here, which we're going to get to later. But yeah, I've been really loving doing that too, and I think because of those 2 reasons, I'm getting a lot of use out of this one. And I'm happy with the progress so far. I think this might be the first one to go out of this palette potentially, but we're just going to have to see how it goes throughout the year. Then the third pan in the palette is the highlighter, and honestly I haven't used this highlighter at all. I have 2 uses on it in total this year, and the reason for that is because I feel like this highlighter is a little bit too deep for me right now. I could definitely get away with it, but I'm panning other highlighters like today. I'm panning one in my year-long pretty pan. And I've been really liking that one, and I know that one is quite pale, so I've been focusing on that highlighter for now. And then I know when summer hits, I'll be getting a lot more use out of this highlighter in the palette. So I'm kind of holding off on that one. Moving on to the second row of the palette, we have the bronzer. And this is another one that I am kind of waiting with a little bit because I'm panning a different bronzer in my year-long product pan as well. But I have used it twice in this month, so not too much, but I did use it a little bit. And I'm happy with that. It's already quite flat because I've used this bronzer quite a lot before. So I do think when I start using this one properly, in like the warmer months when I have a little bit more of a tan, I think this one will go relatively fast as well. So that is the bronzer. Then lastly in the palette we have the 2 blushes, and the next blush is the one that I've been focusing on the absolute most out of the whole palette, and that is the shade Iridescent Rose. So I'm wearing this blush today. I'm actually wearing a different blush as like a base, and then I put this one right here to get like that really bright blushed effect, and I really like it that way. It is quite a pigmented blush. It is also a little bit deeper than what I like going for at the moment, which is why I found mixing it with this powder here being perfect, because it does tone it down a little bit, and I feel like I've been able to use it a bit more that way, which is really, really good. But yeah, 23 uses, and I've actually used it 43 uses in total in this project, and I can definitely see that this blush is like getting a bit flatter, but it is a blush, so it's going to take a lot of work to actually finish up. But yeah, I can see the use on it. I'm just going to have to stick with it and see how long it goes. I reckon I'm going to continue focus on this one for maybe like another month, maybe 2, but then in summer I will definitely start using this one. I think maybe March I will continue using that one, but then as soon as it starts heating up here, I think I'm probably going to want to start using this blush instead, because it is more of a summer shade for me. So because of that, I've been trying to get as much use out of this iridescent rose as I can before it gets warmer. But if I don't finish it this spring, which I know I won't, I will probably try to reach for it here and there. And I also think this would be a beautiful blush to bring back in autumn, so I'm not too worried about it for now. So that is the second to last shade. And then the last shade in the palette is the shade Sublime Flush, which is this shade here. Again, I'm kind of waiting with this one to summer. I've been focusing on the middle shade on the bottom, Iridescent Rose, more. And I've also been focusing on the blush that I'm panning in my year-long product pan, which is actually the one that I'm pairing with the Iridescent Rose today. That is a very, very pale pink blush, and I feel like them two together pair really nicely. So this one is kind of also on hold until summer, which means that at the moment I'm mainly focusing on these 2 shades. These 3 here are like the main focus, but these 2 are my absolute main focus. So I'm going to try to get as much use out of those shades as possible in the next month. And again, when I get to the warmer months, I'm going to reevaluate and see what I want to focus on. Or at least, you know, when I finish up the highlighter and bronzer in my year-long product pan, I will definitely start using the highlighter here and the bronzer here. But for now, I know these shades will fit me better in summer, so I don't mind holding off with it, because I know this palette is going to stick around for quite a lot longer anyway, because there's 2 blushes in here, which, you know, take a long time to finish. So that's kind of my plan for this palette for now. Let me talk you through the weight of this product too, and I will let you know how much of it I've used up in the past month. So with this palette, I haven't used it as much as I did in the initial month, which is fine by me. I am still happy with the amount of usage that I'm getting out of it, and I'm also focusing on other products. So it's not like I'm just jumping between my collection. I'm still finishing up products, but just in other projects. And like I said, since this palette is going to stick around for a longer time anyway, the products that I'm waiting with, I'm not too worried about. I think the 2 blushes are going to be the hardest. Maybe the highlighter will be difficult too, but it's quite a subtle highlighter, so I feel like I will be able to build that up quite a lot. But that is probably the one I'm going to start using the fastest, because apart from the 2 blushes, that is definitely one that I'm most worried about. But for now, I'm holding off on it while I can still use this really, really pale shade that I'm wearing today. So with all of that being said, the weight difference this month is a little bit less than it was last month, but I'm still really happy with it. So at the beginning of the year, this palette weighed 138.32 grams, and the advertised weight of the product is 8.4 grams. So that is how much product should be in the palette overall, and I'm using that as a guide a little bit, which also means that I need to, if I want to finish it up in 12 months time, I need to use an average of 0.70 grams a month. So that's kind of like my approximate what I need to stick to. And yeah, I'm going to talk you through what I have used so far. So just to sum up, in January I used 1.12 grams. I was way over that average, which was really, really good. And after that January update, this palette weighed 137.20 grams. So that was my starting point for February. And now this palette weighs 136.51 grams. Which means that I have lost 0.69 grams, which is just very, very shy of the 0.7 goal that I have. It's only 0.01 grams, which is minuscule. It's basically nothing, which means that I have basically stuck to my average per month this past month anyway, despite using this palette way less than I did in the initial month. And since I was so much ahead of my goal in January, I still have used a total of 1.81 grams in this palette. So not quite 2 grams, but I'm getting there, which is really good considering the palette only weighs 8.4 grams, or the product in there weighs 8.4 grams. Hope that all makes sense. I will have the numbers rolling on screen while I talk about them, and hope that all makes sense. I am still way ahead of my goal. Obviously, over 2 months' time, I would have had to use 1.4 grams for the 0.7 average, which means that I am 0.41 grams over my kind of goal for end of Feb. So that's kind of my update for now. Obviously, February is a shorter month as well. So having a little bit less progress this month is not worrying me too much because, again, it is a shorter month. And also, I'm filming this on the 25th, which compared to January, I had obviously almost a whole week extra because the 25th to the 31st is 6 extra days. So again, that kind of reflects the usage, I believe. And also, the first month was me playing around with this palette. But now I'm kind of spreading my love a little bit for other projects as well. So that is going to be my update for my Pan That Face palette. I'm going to talk you through the goals for next month. So looking at the palette now, my goal is still going to be to continue focusing on these two. I'm going to try to use them the absolute most. I've been kind of dotting between these two shades a lot in the first 2 months of the project, but I think for now I'm going to stick with this shade here and use it in combination with that blush as well as that kind of buffering shade. And I will save dim light until when I'm a little bit more tanned. So those will be my 2 focus shades. With the rest of the palette, I'm just going to play around with it, use it here and there. I'm going to hopefully get a little bit more use on it than I did in the past month. Maybe I will start using this blush a little bit here and there, but this one will still be my main focus. For bronzer, I'm foreseeing myself not touching this one too much because I am panning that other bronzer and I still have a little bit left to go with that one, so it's not going to be done yet. But yeah, so I'm going to hold off with this bronzer here, and also I prefer this one in summer anyway. With a highlighter, maybe I will try using it a little bit here and there. It is a beautiful kind of shade, but it's just slightly too deep for me. But yeah, maybe I will play around with it, see how I like it, and just get a feel of it. Maybe I can even pair it with that lighter highlighter that I'm panning, mix them two together and get something in between, which I think will suit me better as the weather warms up. So that's kind of my feelings for this palette for next month. Hopefully I can have some good progress, especially because we're going to have a little bit longer before between now and next update, because I'm going to post it at the end of March. So I'm going to probably have at least like 4.5 weeks until this needs to go up. So hopefully I can get some more progress. But that is it for today, you guys. I really hope you're having a lovely day wherever you are, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye, guys.